Okay, we're going to talk about the C-51 from ACF Brill, manufactured around 1949, I think is when they built it. And this is a brochure they have, all the different buses they have on here, what they made at that time. And it talks about what it had, seating capacity, wheelbase, overall length is pretty long. Turning radius was important. Engine had a Hall-Scott 190-2. Transmission had a torque converter, I believe. And tire size, other stuff. ACF Brill, right after the war, was trying to be very innovative, come up with things that would sell. And if you want to make something sell, you go to the people who are going to be using it and ask them what exactly they want. And somebody sent me an article, and it's about how a bunch of engineers from New York Transit got together, the actual workers there, with ACF Brill to figure out what they could build that would really do the job. Their big problem was you had a bus pull to a ferry terminal, and a whole bunch of people would get out at once and want to go somewhere. And yet, if you ever get them on, get people off all at the same time. So they sat down with the Brill engineers and put this together. They call it the C-48 because it had fewer seats. They wanted to have extra wide doors and some other things that would be special for this. One of the things it had was staggered seats. The seat next to the window was a little bit farther forward than the other, so you could have shoulders would overlap a little bit with the idea. I don't think anybody else ever did that, but that was one innovation they came up with. You'll notice the back window has a big wide bar in it, which makes it kind of unique for Brill equipment. Here's a picture of the guys sitting in it with the overlapping shoulders. And that made it a little bit, the aisle was a little bit wider too on this. I think the bus was 5 inches bigger than a normal bus would be. And also had wide doors on the stairs, so two men could come out at once, or one could go in, one could go out, was another idea they had. There's a little shot here of the seating arrangement, how they were laid out. And it had power steering, was a big deal to be able to move through traffic easily. Okay. The head of the New York City Board of Transportation got together with the designers at the ACF Brill to come up with a bus that would solve the New York City passenger movement needs. After it was built in 1949, it was tested by New York City Transit Board. At the time, it was the biggest city bus ever built. Seats were staggered. Aisle seat was several inches back from the front forward window seat. It was 6 inches wider than the Brill C-44. The doors were 45 inches wide with stairs going up and stairs going down, so several different people could enter and exit at the same time. Had hydraulic steering. Turning radius was 38 feet. Had an air scoop above the destination sign. The bus could not move if the doors were open. At the beginning of the demonstration, Mayor O'Dwyer inspected it. Engine was a Hall-Scott 190. 220 horsepower, hydraulic torque converter. The gas tank would hold 120 gallons and it was built to be able to fill in 4 minutes. Now, this wound up in Chicago And this is what it was. I happened to go out there and chased it down. This is around 1978. It wound up in Chicago. I had written to them in the early 70s and asked them if it was still around as a bus. I wanted to get the owners, the shop manuals and the builder's plate if it had been scrapped or something. And they said, no, we're still using it. It's their medical bus. And it would travel around different neighborhoods and serve the people, you know, babies or whatever they needed to do. Now, if you work, and you also have air conditioners on top of it, if you know anybody who works at the Chicago Transit Authority, ask some old timers what happened to this thing. I've seen them parked in the back behind the snow plows after years and years and years. Sometimes they went to junkyards, sometimes people made campers out of them, you know. But if you can find out where it went, like to a junkyard, get down there and see if you can find it, if it's still there. Sometimes they made offices out of them, made storage out of them. And if it's there, then you can see if you can make a deal to buy the builder's plate. If you are coming up the stairs, it might be on the dash right on your right side. It could be next to the driver's left elbow on the wall. And I've also seen them on a little platform. The seat sits up on a platform 4 inches off the floor. It's screwed to the side of there. If it's painted, it's hard to see sometimes. And if you do see it and you can make a deal with the people, then try to unscrew it. But if it won't come loose, don't try to chisel off the screws. Use a drill to drill out the screws and get it without damaging it. Also, if you know anybody around the Chicago Transit Authority who might know of an old filing cabinet covered with bus soot that has a bunch of owner's manuals in it, the original manual might still be around. And it's a long shot, but it's something worth looking into. Going to the Illinois motor vehicles, really long shot. I've found buses that way also. But anyway, a very interesting piece of equipment. They only made one of them, and the builder's plate will have 0001. Very interesting.